To create the journal, I wanted to keep it fairly simple, so you could use free printables, any scrap papers, whatever you may have. I've got here some cardstock. You can just use high quality printer paper if you prefer. What I will be doing is folding each piece in half. The first one will make 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, because this will be used to attach the front cover to when we get to that stage, which won't be until we've decided the journal is big enough, full enough, whatever, and we want to cover it and start a new one. At that point, we'll make a different style of journal. But I thought we'd start with something simple. It doesn't matter if I've gone over edges here. You can trim things down as you go along to get everything lining up. If you need neat edges, of course you could decorate the edges with ruffles and bits of lace and whatever you like. So now we have actually enough sides here for the first week of January. We start on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So just 2 pieces of paper. The next thing I'm going to do is use a piece of the cardstock again and cut a hinge, 3 centimetres, which will be 1.5 inches. I want to score in the middle. To score along that, I want 1.5. I will be folding this in half. I want to glue these 2 pages together, and to do that, I'm simply going to attach the hinge so that all the, I suppose you'd call them mountains, are facing each other. I tend to use this art glitter glue with the fine nib and a glue stick for a large surface area with the art glitter glue on the edges. If it's not paper to paper, then I use any kind of all-purpose glue. Where that's gone slightly over, you can just take a pair of scissors to that and trim off that excess. Once we make sure that's down, putting glue along this edge and placing it on. Trying to line up the actual pages and the spine edge. And make sure it opens easy enough that it's not too tight. In future, I won't be attaching pages till they're decorated, which basically means we'll be doing 4 days before we hinge them to these. But I wanted to show you the hinging technique. Now, as you can see, I have not perfectly aligned this edge of my page, and I did say you can cut them down. Make sure everything's lined up on a line here. Sharp craft knife and trim it up. That's if you're bothered about edges not totally lining up. Day 1, which is going to be the inside, because this will attach to make the front cover. And day 1 is January the 1st. Use free printables, any spare printables I've got left over from printing up kits, book pages, that type of thing, to create a design. But also we want to actually journal. If we do a big design, then we might be creating a pocket where we can actually put some paper inside that and write on that. Sometimes we won't have the time to do a super fancy page and just do a simple border and write on the page itself. This is from a Norman Rockwell book that I picked up for about 50 cents from a second-hand shop. It might even have been as much as a dollar, but it's all pictures all the way through. And I am going to fussy cut this woman out of here as a focal point for this page. It's called The Diary, and as this is going to be a journal, I thought it was an appropriate picture to start the new year off with. And to fussy cut it out, the way I do it, to do it quite quickly, is I go slightly inside the lines, or you can do it with a border, it's up to you. To make it stand out is edge it with either black or some vintage photo. I have some kitchen paper, wax paper, greaseproof paper, whatever you call it. Get some on here, so I'm going to go around these edges. Any part of any inking that you don't like because you think, oh, I've done a bit too much, because Distress ink reacts with water. You could take a baby wipe. So, for example, I could wipe off a bit of that. It's coming. It doesn't look like it is, but it is. So it's less strong and more faded into that circle. From a design point of view, I'm thinking I'm going to put her onto something, make this bigger. And the way I will do that, initially I was going to do a pocket, but I've changed my mind. I'm going to get some scraps. I think I may even have a piece of grungy material. I'm going to sit her on something, and we may build this off here and then stick it on, because sometimes that is easier. Doesn't really matter what she's sitting on, just to give us a bit more interest behind her. We'll be using actually that silicone water-free glue now, because this is more material like. I'll sit her on that, but we're going to build that up, and we'll take another piece of material. Now we have things like these numbers. What else have we got? We've got a bit of this. I don't want that there, so just take that off. A ticket type thing. I'm enjoying building up underneath rather than on top. Might have a button that might go with this. We'll need to use the silicone glue on that because it's plastic. I think that actually looks quite nice. What I might do, just to age things up a bit and give it a bit more pizzazz, is ink around the edges with the vintage photo. We're going to pop this down on here. A woman reading her diary. January 1st. I'm going to share my 5 answers with you, and I will try to do it as quickly as possible. Number 1, there is very little real control of life. While you can plan, work hard, take risks, often events are out of your control, and actually it's about how you respond to the events that makes the difference. Number 2, no one has had a perfect life, a perfect childhood, etc. Everyone experiences ups and downs and life being cyclical. Therefore, you do not know others' journeys, and what seems magical from the outside may not be for the person living it. Equally, what seems terrible from the outside may not be for the person living it. In fact, the happiest people I ever met were in the slums of Rio, where they lived in tin shacks, only had cold water, intermittent electricity, just about enough food, and they worked incredibly long hours, but all those people were fun to be around. Hard work and persistence will lead to growth, no matter what is going on in the economy. So while that may be a treadmill and feel like a grind, it works, and you will always be able to make money or find money from working if you know how to investigate and look for the opportunities, and that is a skill you develop over time. However, there will be times when you have less money or feel like you're on the breadline, and times where you have spare money, and just like before, life is cyclical that way for most of us. As someone who enjoys rude health, i.e. very good health, undeservedly really, considering the lifestyle I lead, I need to appreciate that more. That I do lead a lifestyle that should, by my age, have had some repercussions on my physical health, and actually haven't, apart from I've aged a bit. So I need to appreciate that more, because there are people of my age who are in constant pain or fighting disease, or often quite sick or lacking in energy and drive, and I don't appreciate enough how good my health is and how that's a massive advantage in life. Number 5, only you can validate and love you. To look for it outside is a fool's errand, and you can get and receive praise and validation from outside sources, but it doesn't last long. If you've got that insecure, gaping hole that says, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, no matter how much praise you get, there will always be that hollow to you. You have to learn to appreciate yourself, and then external praise and validation are a bonus rather than a must, and you don't have to constantly be chasing it, because to chase praise, to be what other people want you to be, is exhausting. Those are not particularly exciting and nothing new. I'm sure you've heard them all before, but they are actually genuinely what I think I've taken away from my 55 years on this planet so far. Okay, back to the video. In answering this question, I have gone slightly onto that second page. I can either finish it with a design here, so January the 1st is 2 pages, or I can simply start January the 2nd on this page, which is probably what I'm going to do due to time constraints. I hope you've enjoyed the question, the very simple design, the very simple put together binding system. Tomorrow we will do a pocket or an envelope or something for January the 2nd and have a new question. And I will catch you very, very soon. Bye!